My name is Mbaabu. That is what most people know me as. I am a designer. First, I like to say I am an Afrocentric designer because most of my designs revolve around African accessories, expressions, culture, basically a celebration of our heritage. So I run an interior design firm where I am the creative director. It's called Interiors by Tiffy Limited. We are located at Siata Mall along Kiambu Road. Yes. So our clients are basically, we deal with both residential clients and corporate clients. By corporate, I mean hotels and other facilities that are serving, as a commercial space. So yes, I said I'm an interior designer, but my educational background is in journalism. I studied mass communication, but I specialized in public relations. So what I studied in school is journalism. The design aspect, I think, is natural. I hear people saying they're self-taught. I'm not sure about that, but I think it's something you're either born with, but then now you can try to perfect it and learn as you go along. I really cannot say for a fact when that began. I think it's just something that, I don't know where I got this from, but I remember from as early as when I was in primary school, I used to have issues when my mom would go and buy me the normal clothes, exhibitions, what is trending. So like if she'd buy me a skirt and top, a denim top and skirt, I would break it. I usually felt the need to stand out. So I usually, to date, hate what is trending. So I think that is when it began. Then pole, as I grew now, it started taking root in my mind. I started collecting African jewelry, accessories. Most of my accessories from when I was young would mostly be African themes. So I think it's something that began when I was a child, and as I'm growing older, it's taking a center stage, so to say. Actually, I usually say I'm a designer, but when it comes to the umbrella body of interior design, I'm not an interior designer, I'm an interior decorator. So between high school and college, I think that is when now what the journey of self-actualization began for me. There was a lot of soul searching and seeking and exploring, and I think that is when now my love for Africa and everything that is Africa started coming out. So it's at that point where I started thinking of how to change the narrative in Africa. That's when I thought of coming up with a non-profit organization called Badilisha Africa. I was very young, I think I was 21, so it didn't go far, but I had that thought. Then I let it go. Then obviously life happens. Then a couple of years later, I come up with something I call my Piece of Africa. I've run this page for a while. I think it's about 7-8 years now. And I don't post as much now, but I intend to someday because it was making good progress. Like I have, I think, over 25,000 followers from different parts of the continent. So it was a good place to engage, celebrate each other's culture, food, festivals and stuff. And I made a lot of friends actually from across Africa. So it's always a good place where we can sit and talk about Africa. What is the good about Africa? We all know what is not working, but I feel like the conversation has flipped from what is working to what is not working. We have to first celebrate what is working to be able to champion for what is not working. Yes. So a lot of people call me Mama Africa for that. I think from my dressing, from my accessories, from what I talk about, I love talking about people, food, culture. I'm drawn to such. I am drawn to travel destinations that are are a manifestation of what the Africa continent is about. Well, I usually am very categorical in stating that I am an interior decorator. And I think there is a very distinct line between interior decorators and interior designers. I think interior decorators have a natural knack. You have a gift, you have a good eye for design, for organizing stuff, just the creativity. But interior designers come in the structural bit as well, which I think needs to be trained in a school of sorts. So I think that's the difference. Unfortunately, I see a lot of people also who've come up and they're calling themselves interior designers. I feel there is need to bring some sense in the industry, because if you decide you want to start selling curtains and throw pillows today, it is okay. It's a legit business, but that does not give you the qualification to call yourself an interior designer. There is more to it. You can always start as an interior decorator if you feel you're gifted or have the interest in becoming a trained interior designer. Then you can always go back to school for that. Yes. So in my team, I have trained interior designers, but personally, I like to state that I'm an interior decorator because I'm about now bringing cohesion, the final bits of a house now to make sure that everything is coming together. Unfortunately, most Africans are not pro-African designs. I think it's because that is what we've grown up seeing, so we don't appreciate it as much. I realize that most Westerners or people from out of Africa are the ones that appreciate African designs more, or Africans who are well-traveled and well-learned to understand that African designs or accessories are not Ushamba. So I feel there is need for us to educate people more on the same. There is need for us to reinvent these designs so that now if you grew up in a humble background and you are using a drum for a table because that is what was there, then when you grow up and you have some money, you feel like, apana, I need to go with what is trending. I saw so-and-so, an influencer or a public figure with this shiny table from China. So to associate with them or to feel that I have made it, I also need to go with that. But most of the times I realize people who are very authentic and people who are exposed always come back to what is truly our roots. From an artist's perspective, actually in design, I think one of the hardest styles of design for any designer to achieve, I would say, is traditional styles of design, be African or whichever part of the world's culture you want to celebrate. And this is because you are taking items from a culture or a heritage and then reinventing them into a space as a practical solution, as a practical living solution. So it is not easy, but you have to be very intentional, because you realize now if someone perhaps wants to decorate a space and they're thinking, my style is modern, it's very easy to just stop over in any furniture place or a modern store that is selling decor accessories. But now when it comes to an African themed space, you have to think through what is the community around this area, what were they known for, what stands out for them, how can I use this item in decoration. For example, if you want to work with the Maasai theme, so you have to go study what do the Maasais like, what are they known for. They love color red, they love a lot of beadwork, they love livestock. So how can I use perhaps animal skin in design? How can I use beads into design? How can I make a wall piece? How can I make a mirror out of beads? So basically it's just about using cultural expressions to reinvent design. So basically, from where I come from, being the fact that I am a lover of Africa, When I introduce African designs, it's just not as a way to make an end. For me, it is deeper than that. When, for example, I think of, say, the coastal tribes, and I want to make drapes, and then I think of a fabric like, say, kanga, leso, or kishutu, then I have to go back to learn, where do these kangas come from? Why do they have this kind of prints? Why do they have this kind of colors? What were they used for? So that now you're just not grabbing a kikoi and saying a kikoi looks nice on a seat without really thinking about the deeper meaning. My concern is that with the westernization coming through, with education, which is very good, with technology advancement, with AI coming in through as well, my worry is that we are losing our African roots. So as I bring in these designs, it is my little act of making sure there's continuity, and even future generations are able to celebrate culture through design, because design will always be constant. In 100 years or so to come, you'll find things like lesos and stuff like that may not even be as popular as they are now. They are less popular now. When we were growing up, every mother used to have several lesos, you know. Nowadays, not so much. There are deras, there are all these other things, jumpsuits and things like those. So I'm trying to make sure that even 100 years from today, 200 years from today, through design, then we can be able to educate those generations and say, this fabric was initially used like this, but this is now how we are reinventing them to be timeless in living spaces. Let me start by saying, I appreciate that there are institutions and also individuals that are also keen on decorating their spaces using African designs. And one of them is Kenya Wildlife Service. And I think the reason they've approached us, or the reason why we've been able to work together, is because they see our strength in this area. So when they've been decorating their guest houses, what most people don't know is actually that Kenya Wildlife Service owns and runs guest houses in all their national parks. And the idea behind this is because they want as many Kenyans as possible to be able to afford to visit and also afford the guest houses, because most hotels around or inside national parks are very expensive. So one of the ones we worked on is Kamboya Guest House, which is in Savo West National Park. And it's I think a pre-colonial or during colonial era house. I think it's the whites who used to put up in the house. So it's an old vintage-ish house, but it's a guest house now, and it's run by the institution. So we had a good time working on it. We used a lot of, we used kishutu fabric. Kishutu fabric is a fabric that is synonymous with the coastal tribes. It used to be a kanga, it still is. But now in this era, you'll realize that even in the fashion industry, people are making outfits out of it. And then we also did a bit of carvings and introduced also a bit of beadwork, because we are looking at the communities that live around here. So we have the Taita people, we have a bit of Maasais, and we have the Kamba tribes. So basically, it was a blend of these three communities. And I think it is one of the most beautiful guest houses currently that brings out the Africanness. So another one we did was Oleburu Cottage. This is in Naivasha. This is owned by an individual. So in Eburu Cottage, what we did mostly, okay, there is a lot of natural elements. There is a lot of wood, there's a lot of stone, a lot of mazeras, and then the greenery around it. So we introduced some vibrant Ankara prints to bring a contrast and a perfect blend, so that now it's not too neutral, and then the pop of color. And then obviously, you know, Ankara has very vibrant colors. And what people don't understand about Ankara fabrics is that there was intent Initially, there was intent when they were coming up with those patterns. If you go to read about the origin of kitenge and Ankara fabrics, those communities usually were trying to communicate something through pattern. So you'll find there are some that have drawings that look like flowers, others look like axes. It was a way of communicating. So they're just not, you just see flowers or just, there was a deeper meaning. Yes, so that is what we played around with. Okay, so now as a designer, you're always, what is the word? You're always evolving. The thing with being an artist is that you cannot be constant with one brand. You're always thinking about new ideas, you're always evolving. So I started as Mama Africa. I went to Tatawama Colors. Tatawama Colors, people call me Tatawama Colors because I love color. And this particular hashtag came around during a very strange season because someone picked some work and was trolling us because of the sharp contrast and whatnot. So people started calling me Tatawama Colors. And then after that, now when I was trying to defend myself and stand up for myself, I realized what a beautiful, vibrant space the online space is. We usually think that it's a horrible space, people are just going out for each other's necks, but the kind of support I received from people made me realize that then it's possible for us to create a safe space for everyone. That is where Yellow Mood was born. So Yellow Mood is an online sensation that seeks to spread hope, positivity, and good vibes. And also it hopes to lay a foundation for us to hold dialogue on things that are, on issues that are not working. I am also a digital marketer. I have an agency called Business Connect KE. As my popularity, also to say, grew on Facebook, and being a business person who over the years has run different campaigns, I thought, why not help other businesses learn how to accelerate their online presence, teach them how to grow their business, how to put themselves out there, their products, how to enable them reach wider markets. Yeah, so that was the inspiration. A lot of people come into my inbox, my business has stagnated, what do you think I should do? I have a sale, my items are not moving, I don't have many followers, what can I do about this? So I realized it's a way also to help businesses connect and grow. So that is what I am also doing. Maybe the other thing I'll talk about in winding is that I'm also very passionate about mental health. I helped a friend of mine run a mental awareness campaign called Unshedding Mental Illness. I have a friend, a very close friend, who lives with bipolar. So in relating with her and experiencing the emotions she has to go through, I've had a deeper understanding of the same. I've taken time to research, at least to understand what it is like and to be able to sensitize the public about that. So yeah, that is also something I'm very passionate about. Yeah.